Hoodie, check. Skull cap, check. Cargo pants, check. Boots, check. Oh, and of course, guns, check. Punisher Season 2 is out. I just got done the 13 hours of Frank Castle awesomeness. Frank Castle and the gang is back, so let's talk Punisher Season 2. That'd be 2 in Spanish. Hi, my name's Joe. Welcome to Color Positive Movies. We're going to get right into it. Little footnote, there are going to be some spoilers. It's hard to talk about 13 hours worth of program without giving away a few things. If you haven't seen The Punisher Season 2, you might want to watch that, then come back and check this video out. I like Season 2 better than Season 1. More characters involved, a lot more character arcs. I thought the writing was phenomenal. 3 plot lines. We'll talk about each 3, then there's subplots within. There's so much to talk about. I'm not going to get to everything, but I'll focus on the major plot lines, and we'll talk about the season through those 3 stories. One of the plot lines, obviously, Billy, after what Frank did to him at the end of Season 1, he's now in the hospital, he's on lockdown. I think, is it 6 months or a year later? We skipped forward a bit. Billy's under watch. He's going through therapy with a psychiatrist, Agent is it Medina. She's watching over Billy. She doesn't buy into his can't remember anything, doesn't know why he's there. She visits him twice a day, every day in the hospital. So that's one story that continues from Season 1. No, it's Agent Madani. Did I say Medina? I keep saying Medina. I meant Madani. Agent Madani is watching over Billy Russo. All right, the other plot line is obviously Frank. Frank is out of New York. He's kind of left it behind. He's now Pete. That was the alias he was using at the end of Season 1. And he finds himself just traveling. And he travels, he stays from town to town. He winds up staying in this town for a few nights, where he goes to this bar, sees this band play, and then, of course, trouble finds him. This young girl is in the bar, and there's people after him, and Frank intervenes. It's just photographs of a senator that are not flattering and could derail his career. And the senator's parents are not good people. And they send a heavy hitter, the Pilgrim, out to get the pictures, kill the girl if they have to, and now, since Frank Castle's involved, kill Frank. All right, so in that plot line leads us to the 3rd storyline, Pilgrim. He is a devout Christian. He's not unlike Frank Castle, what his backstory is and why he is doing what he's doing. So those are the main plot line is Frank, obviously, with the girl. Then you got Billy Russo continuing, and then you got this other villain that is now after Frank and the girl as well. All right, now how do they get all these stories together? Frank's in trouble. He's being chased by John Pilgrim and this group of hired guns after him and the girl. And there's one episode, it's kind of like Assault on Precinct 13. Frank gets arrested. He's in the jail cell along with one of the people who, well, he's in one jail cell, and then one of the women who are trying to kill Frank and the girl is in the other jail cell. That's pretty cool back and forth. But Frank knows an army's coming to kill the girl, get those photographs, and to kill Frank and every police officer in the building. So anyway, that goes down, and he's stuck. So he calls Madani. He makes that phone call for says, hey, I need a favor. Madani wants nothing to do with Frank. No, you're done. I have nothing to do with you. That's it. But then after a while, Madani says, well, okay, I'll help you, Frank. But she has an alternative motive too. So she flies to where Frank is and says, hey, I'll protect you and the girl, but you got to come back to New York. And her motive is, well, if Billy Russo ever gets out, if I can't handle him, I know Frank's going to go get him. So that's her reasoning. She's using Frank, Frank's using her. They go back to New York. And as you might guess, Billy does get out, gathers these disenfranchised veterans, and they go off robbing places with bigger aspirations. There's a lot more going on. There's a relationship between Billy and his psychiatrist that's really interesting. And the characters, man, Billy's complicated. He can't remember what he did, why Frank, his best buddy in the service, wants to kill him. The psychiatrist, she has a really interesting backstory about her father in Vietnam and what happened to him being suicidal. Agent Madani, she's still troubled by getting shot in the head by Billy, trying to take Billy down. You got Curtis. Curtis plays a bigger part. He was the one that had the vet groups and talked to the veterans. He's pretty much Castle's partner. Not only is Frank trying to protect a little girl and everything that's coming down on him, trying to go after Billy too. He's still got that vengeance for his family. And also, now that Frank's back in the city, there's a $5 million or $5 million bounty on his head. So now every wannabe wise guy's after Frank. So there's so much going on. And even with all this being juggled, it's so well written and it's so well acted. And Frank's a manipulator too, because his intentions are noble, even though he is pretty much judge, jury, executioner. He does manipulate people. He brings them into that moral gray area. And the detective is a great example of that. He's hell-bound on Frank. It's my city. He's not going to be out here running around. Even though he might be killing the bad guy, he has to go to jail. He has to go to jail. Then there's a scene where Frank helps the detective, and now he's kind of drawn into that. They're sitting in the warehouse. They're standing over a body. I won't tell you who it is. Donnie had shot this person 3 times, and there's 2 extra bullets in the body from Frank. And the detective's standing there, and he says to Madani, and Curtis is standing there with him. He goes, "So you shot this guy 3 times, and Frank probably put the other 2 in him, or maybe you shot this person 5 times, Madani. Is that your story?" So you can see he's starting to slowly fall into that. Okay, I'll be part of this dysfunctional team that kind of allows Frank to go and do this vigilante justice. I would say my favorite part and character is John Pilgrim, played by Jon Stewart, or is it Josh Stewart? I think it's Jon Stewart. Sorry if I misspoke. He is the Punisher. You have 2 Punishers in this film. Frank is rage, impulse, kick the door down, shoot now, no questions later. But the Pilgrim family's in jeopardy too. He's very religious, devout Christian, and he has the same skill set as Frank. He can endure the same pain and punishment. Frank endures it for his honor, for his family. He'll do anything to protect the people he thinks are good. Pilgrim, he does it to protect his family, and he endures that pain on a religious, like I'm taking on the sins of others. And the way he talks, his pace is so different than Frank. Same intensity, but every time the Pilgrim's sitting down talking, you can see he's thinking. He's thinking about each word he's going to say and why he's going to say the word. It has purpose. But he's also looking around a room. He knows the guy to his left, and there's someone behind him that we're about to fight. It's just so well done. And Frank and the Pilgrim are on a collision course. They have this big showdown. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, wouldn't it be so cool if they went this direction? And they did. They kind of recognize each other. The Pilgrim's trying to protect his wife, his ailing wife, and his 2 children. And Frank is trying to protect this girl because Frank's daughter would have been the same age as the girl he's trying to save. And there's a connection there. And they both realize that. And what that does is set up an ending that was just phenomenal. All right, so let's zero in on Frank. We learn a lot more about Frank. We know his rage and his vengeance. The way this is acted through Amy, this girl he's trying to protect. About the middle episode, sitting on a bench, and the girl starts asking Frank about his daughter. How old would your daughter have been? And Frank said, probably around your age. And she's kind of sitting to his left behind him. Goes, oh man, what kind of trouble is the boys would come to the house, and and you see Frank kind of enjoying it, but kind of sad about it that he can't experience it. You can imagine, young boy knocking on the door. There's Frank Castle in the doorway going, excuse me, sir, I'm here to take your daughter out, And him thinking forward of what could have been was really a great scene. I mean, again, all the characters have depth, which makes this series really interesting. I don't think you can see anyone else playing the Punisher. There's an end scene where they're at a bus stop, and they know Frank and Amy have to part ways, and Frank just breaks down. And you see everything, the rage in him, the PTSD in him, everything he's been through, all the pain kind of released a bit. The girl, Amy's background, she kind of ran for her parents. She got involved. She's kind of a hustler, but you don't really know much more about her. I wish we would have learned a little bit more about her. It was such a good character. She played so well. She's also pretty smart too. She's not just helpless little girl. She does her part. So that was really cool to see. But I wish they would have went maybe a little bit more into her background. All right, have you seen The Punisher? We can talk Punisher. We can talk season 1 through season 2. There's so much. I mean, we could talk for hours. I thought about doing this in different videos, but I only got so much time. Thanks for stopping by. If you like the content, make sure you subscribe. Maybe check out a few other videos and make sure this is a channel you enjoy. I love talking movies, other discussions about movies, maybe a certain scene. So if you like movies, you're a movie fan, please subscribe. Until next time, thanks for stopping by Color Positive Movies.
Perfect.